Well, hey guys, welcome back, and yes, we are so back. So the deportations, the actual rounding up of illegal immigrants by ICE, by the government, has begun, and things have escalated into all-out chaos across many of the Democrat-run cities across America, with, of course, riots and protests breaking out. Probably millions of dollars in damages at this point. It wouldn't shock me if we saw the levels of damages that we saw back in 2020 with the George Floyd riots. But you can see, again, pictures of brown people crying, so I guess this is a bad thing. Deporting people who don't belong here because they're sad is the wrong decision to make, apparently. So, from the New York Times, inside a courthouse, chaos and tears as Trump accelerates deportations. I'm sorry. This is what the majority of people voted for. I get it. It's not a perfect system. Unfortunately, there's going to be all sorts of people that get caught up in the net. But if you're here in this country illegally and you've done nothing to get registered as a citizen, to make any attempt at, a path to citizenship, you don't belong here. It's just kind of a very simple, no-brainer kind of way of looking at it. But of course, this has escalated into all-out riots, and like I said, across mostly Democrat-run cities in America here, due to the inflammatory nature of the way that they allow these people to act. The police presence in places like Seattle near me here, it's absolutely non-existent. They just let pretty much everybody run wild as long as it's for the right thing. Now, again, if you go back to COVID, back in 2020, if you had, more than 5 people at your Thanksgiving table, oh no, your neighbors would call the cops on you and the police would come around you up. But for this, they're just going to let people burn down cities left and right. Well, not everybody's going to allow this to happen, but you'll see in a second what I'm talking about here. So, Florida Sheriff, this is from Benny Johnson, if you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a weapon at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at. We will end you graveyard dead. So clearly they're not messing around, and I've seen plenty of videos of these idiot protesters, these rioters, throwing objects at the police, and then being shocked when they get, the blunt end of the stick. Of course, you also see Ron DeSantis here saying, we have a policy that if you're driving on one of those streets and a mob surrounds your vehicle and threatens you, you have a right to flee. If you hit one of those people, that's their fault. You don't have to sit there. I mean, for those of us who carry, I would be a little less concerned, but not everyone has, a weapon on them. So yeah, obviously it's common sense that don't let them surround you. Get to safety. Get out of the way, But of course, we've seen also from Congress, we've seen the Majority Whip Leader, Tom Emmer, destroying Tim Walz, questioning him for 5 straight minutes about Minnesota's stance on, of course, illegal immigrants, undocumented, quote-unquote, citizens in the U.S. and why they allow them to stay here. Because don't forget, Minnesota is a so-called sanctuary state where they allow these people to exist without even trying to deport them. Of course, it gets much worse than that because Tim Walz, former VIP hopeful, even encourages them to stick around because he actually discourages his own government in Minnesota from working with the federal government, from working with ICE to deport these people. So, of course, this is a beautiful 5-minute clip. I'm not going to play it because it just gets to be too long, and this is not the main topic of the video anyways. What I want to get to, though, is with all this in the background for context, today we have notably the most retarded, forced, spectacle by the Democrats to try to make one of theirs look like a victim because this moron senator decided to crash Kristi Noem's press conference from, of course, the Department of Homeland Security, and he rushed the podium, got his ass handed to him, got put on the ground, got handcuffed and taken away, and everybody is freaking out and virtue signaling because of this. So, from Fox News, Democrat senator forcibly removed after crashing DHS Secretary Noem's press conference. Now, again, nobody punched the guy. He was never at any risk of getting injured. He was not forcibly thrown to the ground. From what I've seen, they shoved him out. He pushed back. Again, if security at one of these press conferences is pushing you physically out of the way, no matter who you are, senator or not, I thought you're supposed to comply with law enforcement, right? You're supposed to actually abide what you're being told by security. So a California senator was quickly rushed away from the Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem after allegedly lunging at her during a press conference. After loudly speaking over Noem and approaching the podium where she was standing, Senator Alex Padilla from California, of course he's from California, was pushed out of the room by authorities as they ordered him to put his hands up. The incident happened shortly after Noem said the Department of Homeland Security was staying here to liberate the city from the socialist and from the burdensome leadership that this governor and that this mayor placed on this country. Good luck with that. California is a hellhole. The Department of Homeland Security said Padilla did not initially identify himself as a senator and was not wearing his Senate security pin. Okay, that's very curious. That's very, very curious. However, footage captured of him by Fox News does show him saying, "I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary," as he was escorted out of the room. Well, at that point, it's too late. Again, you should make time to speak to Kristi Noem like a civil adult and not like a petulant child who goes in and throws a temper tantrum. So this is from Kristi Noem responding about the event after it happens here.
I would say as we were conducting a press conference to update everyone on the enforcement actions that are ongoing to bring peace to the city of Los Angeles, and this man burst into the room, started lunging towards the podium, interrupting me and elevating his voice, and was stopped, did not identify himself, and was removed from the room. So as soon as he identified himself, appropriate actions were taken. But I would say that, I had a conversation with the senator after this. We sat down for 10 to 15 minutes and talked about the fact that nobody knew who he was. He didn't say who he was, that until he was already had been lunging forward and people were trying to detain him for quite a period of time. And that this, we're leaders, we're public servants. And if he had requested a meeting, I would have loved to have sat down and had a conversation with him. That coming into a press conference like this is political theater. It's wrong, and it does a disservice to this country and the people who live here. So we sat down, had a conversation. We probably disagree on 90% of the topics, but we agreed to exchange phone numbers. We'll continue to talk and share information, and I think that's the way it should be in this country. I wish he would have acted that way in the beginning instead of creating a scene like this.
Well, the thing is, he's not going to act that way because it's all about creating a scene. It's all about the political theater. And then you see Mayor Karen Bass of LA on Twitter saying what just happened to Senator Alex Padilla is absolutely abhorrent and outrageous. He's a sitting U.S. senator. The administration's violent attack on our city must end. Then you have, of course, Senator Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas is headed to the Senate floor after Senator Padilla was briefly detained for crashing the DHS presser. Says this is a horrifying moment in our nation's history. Really?
When Senator Padilla gets pushed, shoved, thrown to the handcuffed because he is asking questions, because he is engaging in the very oversight that senators are supposed to engage in, then what we're really talking about here is a Trump administration that just wants to shut down the ordinary functions of government. Look,
I can't even get through this whole clip. She's full of crap. This is not the ordinary function of government. It's a press conference. The media asks questions. As a senator, if you want to ask her questions, there's other avenues for that and other venues that you go to ask those questions. You don't just show up to a press conference and push your way in and start yelling questions at somebody at the podium. That's not the way you're supposed to conduct yourself.
I do a lot of oversight myself. I ask a lot of questions because that's how it works in a democracy. We use our words to hold people accountable.
Oh, Grandma Elizabeth saying we use our words. All right, enough of this woman. Then, of course, you see from Maxwell Alejandro Frost, we are marching to Senator Thune's office. There must be accountability for the detainment of a senator. This is not normal. No, these people are not normal. I swear to God. These people are a bunch of performative sheep. And the fact that people fall for this crap is absolutely hysterical. Like, guys, look. Trump was elected by a majority of this country. Whether you like him or not, whether you agree with everything he does or says or not, I personally don't. Deporting a bunch of illegal immigrants from this country, people who are not supposed to be here in the first place, is a massive part of what he was elected to do. So again, all they have at this point is virtue signaling and outrage and trying to cause a scene for social media clicks, right? Ironically, Savannah Hernandez says the political theater kids are out in full force today. This is why nothing actually gets done. Our congressmen are too busy posturing over some loser senator who, instead of working, decided to charge Secret Service agents and is now crying the victim. Just pathetic. Laura Loomer calling for him to actually be arrested, saying he's harboring illegal aliens in California. Why did the cuffs get taken off? He needs to be jailed for harboring illegals. He's a criminal. Lock him up, censure him, and charge him. He's a criminal. Again, I would say the same thing about Tim Walz over in Minnesota. Or hell, any governor or senator who's harboring any sort of illegal immigrant. But then, of course, you have former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg saying his stomach is queasy after watching Alex Padilla get arrested. Says Trump's presidency has now crossed the reddest line ever. Again, They try to use this rhetoric, like, again, like Trump is Adolf Hitler incarnate, and that the ICE guys are basically the SS at this point. Savannah Hernandez points out, hilarious that he was perfectly fine with his staff manhandling me after I tried to ask him a question in East Palestine. I remember this during the train derailment. His staffers then tried to have a police officer remove me from a public parking lot. God, I remember that. That was forever ago. But yeah, again, these people are all hypocrites. They don't care. This is all about political posturing. It's all about the optics of it. They don't really care about you or me or anybody else. They don't care about the illegal immigrants. They don't care about American citizens. At the end of the day, it's all to enrich themselves. But I'm going to leave it right there, guys. Share your thoughts on all this down below, and I will catch you guys on the next one. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.